Hi, and welcome to the LHP podcast once again. Today we have a special show. We want to talk to you guys a little bit about the importance of using certain hobbies as resilience. Today's guest, his name is Josh Zermeño. He's a local musician who's going to talk to us a little bit about the importance of resilience and being able to find certain hobbies to make you or to help you cope through difficult life situations. Without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce Josh. Hey, thanks for being in the show today.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Awesome.
I wanted to see, because you did bring your guitar with you, and we're super stoked. I know that you play around El Paso and different nightclubs and things of that nature, and I know this is a way for you to actually express yourself and to be able to pretty much overcome whatever obstacle is thrown at you. I want to talk to you a little bit about that today, but before we actually get started on this show, I'd like for you to play a jam. Kind of talk to us about, or play a jam that for you has been significant, that has helped you in being able to see, different options and be able to strive forward to be able to do positive things in life.
Cool. I think I could do that.
Awesome.
I'm actually gonna play a new song. The song's, it's about coping with loss of people who are close to me. The song's called Dead Friends. Ash told me to always be myself. They said don't worry, said there's no one else like you and me. We're different, I could tell. We both had problems, we both said fuck this world, and summer came and it went so well, just to see your face and escape this hell. The sun shined brighter when you were here. We're drinking till we couldn't see. I was throwing up in your backseat, but if you were here, you would be proud. And Bobby said it's all good, don't get down. We're all gonna make it. They will take over this town, and now when I hear my favorite sounds, the songs you wrote still carry on like you're around. I knew you were doing well, and I'm sorry that I couldn't help, 'cause I can't give you something I don't have. So I play your songs and I sing along. It helps me to keep moving on and show the world you were here. I'll tell you, man, I'm sorry that I didn't pick up when you called that day. I was dealing with my own shit, I wish I would've noticed, 'cause then maybe you'd still be around, I wouldn't have to feel this way. Feel this way, I do. And I'll explain I miss you, and know we had our issues, but I understood you more than these fake ass friends. Tried out to convince you when all I did was push you, and I hope you found your peace in this bitter end, my friend. You're my friend, and I say summer came and it went so well, just to see your face and escape this hell. Sunshine brighter when you were here. So I play your songs and I sing along. Helps me to keep moving on and show the world you were here.
That was amazing, brother.
Thanks.
That was amazing. So what inspired you? I mean, what life event happened where you just decided to write about this?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do know. I've lost a lot of friends in the last 10 years or so. It seems like the older I get, the more people tend to die. Mm-hmm. Whether it be drug abuse or just mental health issues, suicide, things like that. And I just wanted to write something to just help me express my own feelings and process that about it, and also as like a kind of tribute to them and their lives.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that this morning, as a matter of fact, I was on my way out here, and I was listening to a few jams that I get inspired with all the time also, and one of them was The Offspring, It Feels Like Heaven's So Far Away. That song just hits me.
Yeah.
And every time I listen to it, and it's, you know, it's not even pertaining to having a difficult moment at the time, but it's putting myself in the shoes of the songwriter and what inspired him to do it. So it's a very powerful song for sure. And the other one is the Velvet Revolver. They sing a song called Pieces. I think that's what it's called. It's Scott Weiland. And he struggled a lot with drug addiction as well. He's no longer with us. But when I think of those type of things, I think of somebody who's torn to pieces pretty much, and it's very difficult to get back on your feet and process this stuff. But I think that absolutely through music and what I just heard right now with the lyrics and how you played it, it wasn't you just playing the song. It was pretty much you moving with the song and the chords and the way you just express every single word when you were singing that song. So, I mean, I think that was really awesome. Is it difficult for you to play these songs?
No, I don't think so. I think I've been using music so long as that kind of emotional outlet, that it kind of comes naturally, you know. For me, music isn't just you know, oh, this is a song I like, or a song I like to dance to, you know. When I write music, it's really to express and connect. So I think, like you were saying, you know, that takes all of me to do. Yeah, so no, it's not difficult. It's maybe a little difficult to feel so like vulnerable in front of people.
To
be like, here.
Why is that? Because I have that feeling too. Why do you think that as humans we have that emotion where we're throwing ourselves out there and we want for people to kind of feel what we're feeling at the time, but at the same time we don't want anybody to kind of look at us like, you know, in a strange way, you know?
Yeah. I think, I don't know, man. I think it just might be like the culture. I feel like as people we're so discouraged from really connecting on that level. You know, that's not cool. It's not cool to be vulnerable or to cry or to, like, you know, share your emotions with other people like that. I think especially as men too, you know?
That's a big deal. Yeah, for sure. Do you find it difficult having to do that, or have over the years with writing music? Because I know your love for music began, I can't remember how long ago, right?
Yeah.
I know that you were really into rock music for sure. And on various occasions when we would get together and do skate demos, you would go out there with your band and you'd play. So how has that influenced you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, it's just that connection I've always had with music. You know, I think I always kind of felt growing up kind of more separated from people and had struggles communicating and connecting with people like that. So when I started hearing, you know, my favorite artists and like the way they affected me, whether it be Green Day or Nirvana, like feeling that I could connect with these artists on like a really human level, that's kind of just like I knew like that's what I had to do. Like that's what I want to do. That's the only way that I can navigate this world, really.
How was it for you growing up?
I mean, my childhood was normal. You know, I have a great family. You know them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Very good people.
Yeah, I have great parents, super supportive and loving, and I have a brother and sister who are both really cool. You know, we get along very well. But yeah, I think I always had trouble like fitting in with my peers, maybe at school and stuff like that.
Yeah, blending in and doing the regular school thing, right? Because I know that can be quite difficult sometimes. It reminds me of a song from Social Distortion, "The Story of My Life." I mean, he talks about, being in school and not being able to relate and get into football and get into some sort of academic club. It was just, not his thing. So he looked for the alternatives, which were, things that were making him feel good about himself. And music seems to be what's hit the most, had an impression on you, definitely, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so like, I think that also in turn of like it allowing me to like express myself and connect with people, it also like put me into a community with other people who were doing the same thing. And like, that's how I found my friends and, that my community, that's where I feel like I belong.
All right. Okay. So yeah, most definitely. And you have a band, right? Yeah. Can you talk to us a little bit about the band? I know Mia Antifa, that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about how that came to be and over the years? Because I know you've had that band for a while, right?
Yeah, we've had, this iteration of this band is going for about 3 years now. Like 2019, we kind of started coming together. So I'd always been in bands in high school and all that kind of growing up. There's a period of time where I was going through just a lot of personal struggles and made it hard for me to be in a band. So I kind of stepped away from that world for a while. And I started coming back and playing solo shows, acoustic shows.
Okay.
I'd never really been a singer in a band. I was always just like the guitar player.
Lead guitarist.
Yeah, exactly.
Complementing music, maybe, right?
Yeah, and not really, playing music I wrote myself. It'd be my friends. When I was kind of forced to just work on music alone, that's where I feel like I kind of developed as a songwriter and a singer.
Yeah.
And so I mean, as my life kind of got more stable, I was building up these songs that I was writing and performing. And my cousin Mickey, she's a drummer, so she kind of started joining me for these solo performances and playing her cajon and sometimes a drum kit. And we just kind of started adding different friends to this group, and we're like, oh, this is a band now. And yeah.
How does it make you feel when you get your bandmates together in front of, say, a small audience or large audience? I mean, what's the feeling that you get when you're playing your music?
It's just like it's bliss. I kind of like compare it to, I like longboarding a lot. When you're bombing a hill on the longboard, and
I know what that feels like, for sure.
Nothing else matters but that moment. Trying to stay on the board and not die. That's.
I hear you, man.
Yeah, that's it. When we're playing, it's like that feeling, but then you add other people to it, and so we're all together, just focused on doing what we're doing at that moment, and yeah, it's the best.
That's cool, man. One of the things that you mentioned right now when you were giving us, the explanation as to how it kind of makes you feel in front of everybody. What were some of the struggles that you had to take a back seat in? What were some of the things that were causing you delays to be able to develop yourself musically growing up?
Yeah, so I think part of like me feeling isolated from people all the time, that music provided a good outlet for that, but I found another outlet, which was drugs. Substances, And so like over the years, I just kind of fell deeper and deeper into that hole of addiction.
Yeah.
To the point where it really consumed my life for a couple of years.
Do you remember when it began happening, when you felt, I don't know, alone or frustrated or angry or maybe isolated, like you said, and you felt that you needed to kind of escape? Do you know when that took place, more or less?
I wouldn't say I really know when it started. For sure by the time I was a teenager, I think I definitely was like experiencing that like depression without really knowing it. Just really like knowing that I didn't feel like normal. And so like I started having friends around me, just drinking and smoking pot and stuff like that. And I think, really like the first time I smoked pot when I was about 14 or 15 years old, it kind of gave me something that that I realized, like, I feel like this is what's been missing from my life for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you felt it gave you some sort of boost?
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't, insecure anymore. I didn't feel alone. Wasn't worried anymore. I felt like I could really be a part of the moment and kind of let go of all the shit that would constantly weigh me down.
Okay, so it was some pretty heavy stuff that was really keeping you from excelling in your life then, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, I mean, would you say that alcohol and drugs, weed, were the gateway for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm careful not to say that, I consider anything really a gateway drug in the term that it's used. I think plenty of people start drinking or start smoking pot and they're fine. I think it more has to do with the individual. For me, once I started smoking weed, I was immediately interested in what else I could get out of drugs as a whole.
Okay, so you started experimenting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, like any, high schooler, definitely exposed to parties and people who were using stuff like ecstasy, cocaine. Those were big things. Eventually, like, had friends go to the hospital, break their bones or stuff, and they'd get prescribed opiates.
Okay.
Yeah.
The famous opiates, right?
Yeah, that plagued my generation.
Why do you think that those are some of the strongest drugs right now, the opiates? Because it seems like we're having a crisis with that. There's been a lot of documentaries right now. As a matter of fact, I can think of a few on Netflix right now that talk about OxyContin, things like that, right? That have damaged a lot of families. What do you think is in that stuff that's really messing people up? And why are they gravitating to it?
Yeah, I think it's just the nature of the drug itself, the opiate. When I took an opiate for the first time, it was very similar to my experience with weed, where I kind of felt all those worries and insecurities lift away, but on a much stronger level, where it was like being able to take happiness and contentness in a little pill and pop it. So it's understandable why it's so addicting and so alluring to especially people who suffer with that depression, anxiety. If you could just get rid of it and feel like a normal person by popping a pill or whatever.
And was this stuff readily available whenever you wanted it and with your friends and things of that nature?
Not extremely in those days, because it was more kind of someone's got a hospital visit, so I can hit them up. If something would happen like that. I had a friend who she had a problem with cysts in her ovaries, and she didn't like taking her pills. So when her cysts flared up, I was kind of oh, good, that works for me. Okay,
so she would you ask her for those medications? Or
yeah.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that's how that started, huh? So when do you say enough is enough with that, and when do you start realizing about addiction and stuff like that? And did you try heavier drugs after that?
Yeah. So definitely, once I knew opiates were kind of my lane, my drug of choice. I got opportunities after high school to try heavier opiates, to try heroin. Which that was always something that kind of mystified me. You hear a lot of romantic and non-romantic stories about people who use heroin. There'd be Jimi Hendrix or all these countless musicians, Bradley Nowell, Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
And so, like...
Some of the people you look up to,
yeah,
I would imagine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hendrix.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you always kind of, well, what was the allure of that? Like, why did they feel they needed to do that caused them to destroy their life? So with the pill, the Oxycontin, the hydrocodones, I kind of got a taste of that. And so by the time I was out of high school and the opportunity came to do heroin, came about, I was pretty interested in that, you know?
Okay.
And so yeah, friends around me kind of started using it. And at first it was just very experimental, you know? I never wanted to be a drug addict. I was always very aware of the dangers of using drugs. But like the allure of it, the benefits I was getting out of it was too much, you know, for me to stay away from, and I always felt like I was in control of my drug use. You know?
So did you deny that you had a problem, or when did you realize that you had a problem?
I realized I had a problem when you start waking up sick, when you start having withdrawals, when it started really affecting my ability to live a life, when you know, I'd be late for work because I need to go find drugs because I'm sick, because I'm in withdrawals, when you start stealing things, stealing money from people, stealing from my family, when I realize that I'm hurting people who care about me, because they're watching me, you know, just lose myself to this drug, when I can't have friendships anymore, when I can't focus my life on music anymore, because you know, all that matters. Once you have a physical addiction to something, once you're waking up with withdrawals and shaking, you know, that's all that matters in your life, is not feeling that way anymore.
So that sounds like a difficult thing. So did you realize this yourself, or did the people around you suggest that you begin to seek out help, or was it you, or how does the transition take place when you say to yourself, I have a problem, I need to do something about this? Or were you in denial? What was going on? For the people that are watching this, I think it's important for them to understand that this type of stuff creeps up on you. It's not something that from one day to the next you could say, okay, I have an addiction. It doesn't work that way. I wish it did, but it doesn't, and it can happen to anybody. As a matter of fact, I mean, I know that, you know, personally, I've struggled a little bit with addiction as well, and even the day-to-day sometimes, to try to numb that neocortex so that you don't have to feel everything. I mean, sometimes it was easy for me to have a shot maybe before I entered the house after work because of all the stress that was building up. What kind of advice can you give parents, for example, that are watching this, or even somebody who's going through some sort of difficult time where they need to address this issue? How do you get them to react to this?
Addiction is so difficult, you know, for everyone involved, the person who's going through it and the people around them, because, you know, it like you said, it creeps in, and it kind of totally changes the way your whole brain works. For me, I was definitely in denial for a long time about being out of control with my drug use when everyone around me could see it. And so, like, when you're not ready to hear something or accept something, it doesn't matter who tells you what. It doesn't matter, you know. I wasn't willing to even accept that I had a drug problem for a long time. And even then, I remember there was a point in my life where I kind of realized that this was a problem. I was getting those withdrawals. I was... You know, I lost my job and stuff, and I felt like there was no other way for me to live. I still wasn't willing to give up my relationship with heroin, because like that, I felt like that was all I had in life. You know, I felt like it gave me the most completeness that I've ever had in my life. So like, I really wasn't willing to give it up at that point. It wasn't until the consequences really started stacking up for me. I started getting in legal problems. I started really losing a lot of people around me, either friends who died from overdoses or friends who just wouldn't want to talk to me anymore, hurting my family again. I think really, they talk about rock bottom. That's what it takes for a lot of people.
Can you talk a little bit more about rock bottom?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, given your context of what you're talking about, maybe they can relate a little bit about what that means, rock bottom.
Yeah. So for me, I don't know. I feel like I've experienced different types of bottoms in my life because, my journey with addiction and recovery has definitely not been linear. There's been a lot of ups and downs and trial and error and kind of stuff. But I think one of the moments in my life that I kind of realized I really needed to change. I'd been evicted from my house. Well, not my house, my apartment. My family really didn't want anything to do with me unless I was willing to get help for myself. And I got arrested. So I was in jail. I had no one to call.
What happened?
I got caught with heroin. I had been evicted from my apartment, so I was just kind of out on the streets, playing guitar.
You were actually living in the streets?
Pretty much, yeah. I'd be able to find a place to crash. I think at that time, I was somehow able to hold down a job at that point. But a coworker was kind of letting me crash on their couch, not really knowing, what I was going through, which is, just another, like, horrible thing. Just, like, for me, it's just really getting tired of that life. I had been living that way so long and struggling with it so long, trying to convince myself that I could control how I was using drugs, how I was drinking alcohol. It takes a lot of trying to control what you're doing and failing.
Absolutely. But the help, though, I mean, it's not from, you don't wake up one day and say, this is done, I'm done with this, I'm not doing this. What did it take to facilitate this for you? I mean, what did you have to go through?
I remember the first time I decided, okay, I need help. I'm going to get help. It was a few days after my 21st birthday. I'd kind of been really struggling up until that point and trying to get it together. But I was able to get myself together again enough that my family was willing to throw me a 21st birthday party, which was a really big party there at my parents' house, and we had bands play and all this. And I was strung out that whole entire party, and I had friends there who were using drugs. At the end of the night, one of my friends overdosed in my bathroom, in my parents' bathroom.
Yeah, that must have been difficult, huh?
Yeah. He didn't die, thank God. But, we had to call the paramedics. We had to, I'm there yelling at my mom to get something to unlock the door because this dude's on the bathroom floor, in a race for his life, and they're trying to give him CPR and stuff to keep him alive. Just after that whole experience, it was a moment of clarity for me where I was like, damn, like something has to change. I just had a friend overdose on heroin in my mom's bathroom after she threw me a party. This is out of control. I don't want to be part of this life anymore. And so a few days later, I told my parents that, and they helped me get into a detox center for the first time.
Okay, and how long were you in a detox center?
So that was a very short one. You know, I still really didn't know much about recovery, rehab, how all that worked.
Do you remember the day they took you out to that center?
Yeah, yeah.
How was that?
I just remember I had a lot of anxiety because, well, one, I'd never experienced anything like that, you know? You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen to you. Two, I'm going through drug withdrawal on the way there and just trying to not lose my shit.
Is your brain messing with you at this point?
For sure. I mean, I was still at least sound enough in my decision that I was doing the right thing, but you're going through hell the whole time. You know, you're definitely questioning, definitely trying to figure out how to make this shit stop around you.
Well, you have that basic cartoon thing where the little angel pops up on one side of your shoulder and the little devil on the other one, and they're fighting each other, saying, "Is this what you really want to do?
Yeah.
Come on, this is not what you really want to do." Did you struggle with that?
I don't think so at that time. There's definitely been other kind of situations I've been in like that.
Okay, so how was it during this whole time when you were in the center?
Yeah, so that trip, that first detox trip, it made me really understand that there's a difference between being physically addicted to a drug and the actual like mental disease of addiction.
Can you go a little bit into that, Josh, for those people that really don't understand this concept, because it's complex, and people listening to this may not know what you're talking about, or I can probably assure you that they don't.
Yeah.
Especially for a lot of mental health care providers that are out there. I mean, one of the things that I think is important for everyone to know is it doesn't only have a mental aspect, it also has a physical aspect as well.
Yeah, exactly. So like my understanding of addiction at that point was basically, you know, you're dependent on something, and I was having this experience with heroin where if I wasn't taking heroin, then my body was going into shock and I was getting sick and having, you know, bad symptoms and shaking. And so that's what I thought was my problem was, you know, at that point. I couldn't see that the problem was that I felt like I wanted to do heroin in the first place. My problem was that I couldn't stop doing it without getting sick.
Yeah.
So, you know, so you go into a detox facility where they medically kind of wean you off of that so you don't experience those withdrawal symptoms. The problem with that is that, so I got rid of this physical addiction. You know, I got out, and still my only coping mechanism was using drugs.
Okay. Okay. So you're in this facility. You do what you have to. You're released, and then you still have this addiction, though.
Yeah, exactly. You know, my way of thinking and my worldview and way of coping with everything is that I don't know how to live life and experience all this stuff without using drugs to kind of facilitate what I'm feeling. So immediately, you know, I was like, I hit the jackpot. I was able to get clean off of this drug without going through a bad withdrawal. So all I have to do is start using again, but just use very little so I don't get physically addicted again.
So this was your mindset once you were out again?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think that same day I went and bought a little bag of heroin. It was like, okay, like, cool, just be careful this time. You can still, you know, at that point in my life, I still felt like I needed heroin in my life. Like I couldn't imagine living life without having that. So what I thought my problem was at that time was just I had overdid it. And my, you know, chemically, physically, my body got addicted to it. So as long as I kind of, you know, stayed in that special spot of not overdoing it, my body wouldn't get addicted to it again, and I could live life and still have this coping mechanism.
So you're rationalizing, you know, this whole situation.
Yeah.
Were you right?
Oh, absolutely not. You know, that's where as I got deeper into recovery and having these experiences of kind of trying to recover, trying to, I wouldn't say I was trying to really have a sober lifestyle yet, but I was definitely trying to fix my problem of being dependent on these substances. So figuring out that I had a very flawed way of thinking, that my whole perception of kind of reality and seeing myself and my relationship with drugs was warped. Because you talk to a normal person, they don't think doing heroin's ever a good idea under any circumstances. Maybe if you're in the hospital and they give you morphine, then that's understandable. To me, it was just kind of what made sense in my life.
So you were thinking that you'd have complete control over this and you wouldn't relapse again. And then you end up again in the same situation you found yourself in. Yeah, exactly. Time and time again.
Just kind of feeling like I was weak. I think that's also a kind of part of like stigma of addiction is people like connecting it with willpower.
Okay.
And that's definitely was my view on it. It was just like, okay, I just need to have the willpower to stay on top of, my drug use. And if I can't stay on top of it, it's because I have weak willpower. What I've come to learn since then is that I have this mental disorder that's going to rationalize anything to get me to keep using drugs once I'm using them.
So just kind of justify every single thing to say, okay, your mind's saying, hey, well, it's okay for you to use because this, and that. And don't worry, you won't fall into the trap again because you're good. You've learned, your biology and the way you think now. So you're not going to fall addict again.
Exactly.
And that's not the case, huh?
And that's not the case. I feel like if you're someone...
Do you think it was... Oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but do you think it was easy to kind of lie not only to yourself but also to others around you and actually make them think and believe in what you were saying?
Extremely. And I think, that's because I believed what I was saying, And even if I didn't, that's part of the territory of surviving as an addict at that point. When nothing else is more important than getting the money you need for drugs, manipulating people and lying to them and living this double kind of life is what develops out of that, and it's extremely natural.
Yeah, I would imagine. So realizing that you fell again and that you relapsed again, what do you do then?
At that point, I actually so I did what a lot of people in addiction actually do, trying to find a geographical solution to my internal problem. I decided I needed to get out of this city. Because my willpower, wasn't strong enough to be in this habitat where I've already, learned how to use drugs here. So I had the opportunity to move to Austin.
So you think it was a social circle?
Yeah, exactly. The social circle, the setting. I know where to go to get drugs. I know who to go to get these drugs. And I felt like as long as I had that holding me back here, then I was going to fall because I had weak willpower.
No matter what you were doing, no matter if you went to a place that was helping you out, a center that would help you see the light, you think it was geographically what was taking place that was keeping you stuck.
Exactly. At least at that period of time, I felt like I at least I just had to get away from here. So I went to Austin, and I learned that was another learning experience for me because I learned that the problem wasn't where I was. The problem was me and my brain and the way that I think and this addiction that had taken over. I think within 3 weeks of being there, I found heroin and I was using heroin over there.
Okay, so there was no escaping it then? No social circles, no new friends, no new hobbies? that were just kind of keeping you in the rut. That's difficult.
Yeah.
How do you get someone to see that? How do you help yourself with that, knowing that you can't escape this?
That was, that's where I really had to come to terms with, I have to fix something inside of myself. That's a lot deeper than a physical reaction. There's something inherently really flawed with the way I'm thinking and perceiving life, and I can't do it on my own. Me fixing my own brain with my own brain isn't going to work. I had to humble myself a lot, you know. I always believed that I could take control of this on my own, and it's my problem. I got to fix it myself. There was no doing that for me at that point. I tried everything, all my best ideas, and none of them worked. So there was an acceptance of that, my own powerlessness to it, and then the humility to be able to accept help from other people and just listen to what they had to say.
Was that ultimately the cure to all this?
Yeah, that's ultimately maybe not the cure, but that's what has allowed me to rebuild my life, to live a life, and to stay sober. They say addiction is never really cured. There's always something in you, and that's why I tend to stay away from alcohol, from drugs now, because I know once I introduce those things to my body, it starts going up here again.
Okay.
And I start fooling myself and thinking these rationalizing thoughts, and before I know it, I'm off. I'm out there again. So it was just really the trick of learning how to cope with life and live life without using these drugs, and keeping myself in a clear mind.
This is valuable information that you're providing a lot of people that are watching. I think it's important. Not this program I decided to do because family cohesiveness and being able to get along with the people around you and making this world a better place. I think that's the ultimate goal as you age, because you want to see your kids and your family grow up healthy. So I thank you for all this information. I would like to see if at all possible, if you could perhaps play us a song that talks a little bit about, how maybe you came to be at this level now, that you're feeling good, you're thriving, and you're doing things to the best of your abilities right now. Do you mind doing that for us?
Got it.
Awesome.
Actually, one of my favorite songs that I've written. It's going to be on our upcoming album that's going to be out this summer. And yeah, it's about just that kind of figuring out how to feel like myself again. The song's called Coming Home. Go. Walking all night until sunrise, I was trying to find my way home. With the moon in the sky and your words on my mind, never thought I would make it alone. Here we go. Up alone the next morning, never thought I would see you again. In the desert I roamed till I let myself go. I finally saw what you meant. We all pray that God will speak to us. We don't ever shut the fuck up. And here in the desert I finally saw who I was. And I'm on my way home. And I'm on my way home. to your house after sunset. I finally looked in your eyes. As I turned for the night and I kissed you goodbye. Could finally see you were right. The darkness can only work through us until we step into the light. And here in your arms I knew I had the strength left to fight. And I'm on my way home. And I'm on my way home. I'm on my way home. And 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 I'm on my way home.
Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Zermeño, Mia Antifa. How do people get a hold of you? How do people know what's going on with you here in El Paso?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Zermeño. You could keep up with my band, Mia Antifa, just at Mia Antifa. Yeah, we have a lot going on. We're always playing pretty much every weekend, so if you ever want to come out to a show.
What are some of the places that you play at? People that are watching that could be, hey, you know what? I do go to that place, or I've been there before.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of cool little underground places popping up. The Music Gallery is one where we play a lot. Love Buzz, the Lowbrow, we've been doing some shows there. So,
Nice. My little brother JP does a couple there too, I think, in the past.
Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome, man. Well, this has been quite the interview, and I think a lot of people are going to be very pleased with hearing your story. I think it teaches us some valuable things for sure.
Yeah, for sure. If I could just say real quick, if you or someone you love is struggling with substance abuse, there's a lot of resources out there. Get the help. Don't think you can do it on your own. There's a lot of help out there, and it'll be the best decision you ever make.
Awesome. We do thank you for that, and we thank you for your time being here with us today. And again, man, much love going your way, and we wish you the best in everything that you do.
Thank you.
Awesome. So if you liked what you saw and you'd like to consider supporting our content, we're going to be on YouTube. We're going to be on social media. Don't forget to click the like buttons and the subscribe.
Smash that like button.
Yeah, smash it. Right. That's how they say it.
Ring the bell.
There you go. I'm horrible when it comes to that type of stuff, but you guys know what I'm talking about out there. And please keep us in mind when it comes to supporting our content. We greatly appreciate it. You were watching the Love, Health, Prosperity LHP podcast. Thank you. We'll see you next time.